Dude, do you know what just happened before we started recording this?
What just?
My fucking doorbell rang, and I am such a fucking sucker.
Yeah.
This little fucking white girl comes up and she's like, hey, I'm selling candy bars. They're $2 a piece. Do you want some?
Yeah.
And I said, fine.
What'd you get?
I only had a 20. And I said, do you have do you have change? And she said, no, I don't. So I said, okay, give me 10 candy bars. So I fucking took like half her box. And now I have so much chocolate that I don't know what to do with. You're listening to How I Met Your Monster, a podcast that explores the introductions to your favorite movie monsters. My name's Zach.
I'm Danny.
And I'm Casey.
And together we dive into the world of horror to find out how filmmakers have introduced us to our favorite monsters time and time again. This is How I Met Your Monster.
I met him 15 years ago. I was told there was nothing left.
Explorers in the further regions of experience. Demons to some, angels to others.
Call you Meatloaf Surprise, Sydney.
Hello, and thank you for joining us on a brand new episode of How I Met Your Monster. This is our second out of 3 ghost story episodes. Mm-hmm. Last episode was... What did we do last episode? Oh, Crimson Peak.
Crimson Peak.
And this episode, we have The Shining, classic. Mm-hmm. Just wait until I tell you what we're doing next episode.
I'm so scared.
Just wait. But you'll have to wait till the end to find out.
Yeah, I know. I'm excited to hear what you've got.
Danny, thank you for recommending this movie to watch.
You're so welcome.
I have seen it so many times that I really wasn't excited to watch it, to be honest. Mm-hmm. But as soon as it starts, you're just like, oh shit, this movie's so good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know. That's always my lame critique of this movie. My first initial critique is, or not even critique, just first thought is oh, it's always better than I think it is. And it's better with every rewatch.
Yeah.
It's very good.
Because you're always looking for stuff. You know, there's so many theories surrounding this movie that you can't help but sort of be hyper observant of everything. And you do usually pick up something new, whether it's just really there or just, some weird theory.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's go back to you thanking me for my services.
What did I thank you for your service for?
For recommending this.
Oh,
I'm still holding on to that.
No, it was good.
It was.
I had to watch it in 2 sittings, I guess.
Can you tell our listeners why you had to split up this viewing session?
I had a baby. I didn't have a baby.
I was going to say you had a baby?
But little baby girl.
He pulled an Arnold Schwarzenegger in Junior.
That's right.
Physically had a baby.
And so yesterday, actually, she was a week old.
Oh, congrats.
Yeah.
Thank you. And The Shining was not only her first horror movie, but just her first movie in general. Oh. And she fucking slept through the whole thing.
Wow.
That's so rude.
She didn't even look at the TV once.
Wow.
Well, at least read the credits at the end to show that you acknowledge who made the movie.
Yeah.
Jeez.
But no, she didn't do that either. Wow. Yeah. So I had to watch it in 2 settings because it's 2 hours and 25 minutes, I think, is the official runtime. But it is also available on Tubi. And if you watch it on Tubi with commercials, you would think it would be longer because there's commercials. It's 25 minutes shorter. And I'm
so glad you pointed this out to me when we were texting each other, because I would have watched it.
Yeah, I mean, it must
Tubi.
just be a different version for some reason.
Well, I looked it up, actually. So Stanley Kubrick, I don't know, I can't remember if it was for the theatrical release or for whatever, some type of release. They needed to shorten it. So he had cut it down. quite a bit. Took about a half hour, maybe more out of it. And a lot of people considered that to be technically the director's cut because the director cut it, but it wasn't really the director's cut in the way that we see a director's cut.
But it wasn't for him.
Yeah, it wasn't like the preferred version.
Yeah.
So actually, Zach, the one that you made sure that we all watched, which was on Amazon to rent, was the correct one. So thank you for pointing that out.
Okay. You're welcome. I wonder did you read anything about what they cut out?
There, whatever I was reading had a bulleted list of what they had cut out. But I didn't even bother with it because I knew I was going to watch the other version anyway. But let me see. The Shining cut version scenes. So it says they cut out the scene with the woman in the bathtub, any reference to The Shine.
Interesting.
Dick Halloran completely.
Bullshit.
And the Overlook Hotel.
Fuck you.
Yeah,
It's just them in Boulder, Colorado talking about Tony. It's just Shelley Duvall smoking a cigarette and then it ends.
Yeah.
It's like a Jim Jarmusch short film. I can't find the article that I was reading, but such is life.
That's okay. All right. So before we get into The Shining, as always, what'd you guys watch?
All right, you want me to start with the good or the bad?
Start with the ugly.
All right. I know that you guys don't like to shit talk movies, but I don't have an issue doing so.
Oh, yeah. Let it rip.
I am very disappointed with the price we pay.
Oh, no.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I watched, the trailer that I watched was the Red Band trailer.
Uh-huh.
And I was very much like, okay, well, in the Red Band trailer, there was a lot of shock value.
Right.
Like some gross stuff. And I was like, okay, so I literally went into it thinking, I don't really care what this movie has to offer as far as storytelling or character development or anything like that. I just want to see some nasty shit.
I just want a snuff film. Is that so much to ask?
Yes. Yes. I want to be grossed out. I just want to have fun, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
The plot was so bad that it didn't
satisfy anything.
It didn't, and even the shock value and the gore and stuff, there was one part that I really liked, and the rest of it was just everything that was in the trailer. So there wasn't even anything that I hadn't seen yet.
No, I'm sorry.
And I love Emil Hirsch, but his character was absolutely insufferable. It was not him as an actor, but his character was just so stupid. And the lead female in the movie, she's like in trouble and she owes this guy money, but they never tell us why. And then all of a sudden, spoiler alert, I know you guys don't care, we find out that she used to have a child and she lost it, but we don't find out why or when or anything like that. So it's like, I'm supposed to care about what's happening to this person and I don't have a fucking clue what's going on. Like, what, I don't understand, and then all of a sudden there's just this guy that comes in and he's like, this is what I'm doing and this is why I'm doing it. And he tells this really stupid fucking story that doesn't make any sense.
This is the movie. This just came out, right? This is a new release?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it actually came out on the 13th, but there was like early access on, and I rented it.
Oh,
for
so you paid
$2
for
on
it.
Amazon. I paid $6. But if I was going to the movie theater, I would have spent like $30 because I would have had to get tickets and popcorn and shit. So I'm glad
that's true
that I only spent $6.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
But nobody else should.
Okay. You heard it here.
So watch that. We watched What Lies Beneath.
Nice.
Good one.
Nice.
Oh, it's so good. It's so spooky.
It's all atmosphere.
And just, the whole feeling of that movie is so, ugh.
Yeah. And listeners, you should go back to episode 3 and listen to our episode on Norman Spencer from What Lies Beneath.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Well, spoiler alert.
I mean, Harrison Ford.
Did you know Harrison Ford is 80?
That's
yes,
crazy.
because I looked it up while I was watching that movie. Because then I looked up, when I was watching The Shining, I looked up how old fucking Jack Nicholson is. He is 85.
Wow.
That's wild.
Okay.
It's funny that you say that because I was trying to do the math on like how old he was in this movie.
Oh yeah, while I was watching The Shining, he looks fucking old as
I'm like, he's already in his 40s, and this movie just feels so like it was made so long ago, and he's still like around
exactly
and thriving. It's just, I don't know, like kind of broke my brain a little bit.
Yeah.
I also watched Resurrection with Rebecca Hall and Tim Roth.
I want to see that.
Oh, it was so good. And Rebecca Hall, wow.
Is it horror?
No, I mean, there's a horror element to it, but more shock value, like I say, like just one kind of part that's a little bit jarring.
Gotcha.
But otherwise, it's more of like a thriller.
Okay.
But very good. And then I watched The Last of Us.
Oh, I haven't watched it yet.
It is so good. Very good.
Okay.
And I think that's all.
Okay.
Cool. What about you, Danny?
Yeah.
I watched a bunch of deep breath. I watched a bunch of Friday the 13th movies on Friday the 13th. I watched 1, 2,
Yeah, that's a good idea.
3, 4, 6, and 7.
I act like that's never been a thought before. Wow.
It was pretty
Awesome.
original. Pretty proud of myself. I watched Scream 4. Rewatched that one. Haven't watched it in a while. Started 2 other movies, and for various reasons didn't finish them yet, but I'm looking forward to finishing them. One is The Pale Blue Eye, that Edgar Allan Poe mystery on Netflix, which is good.
Yeah,
it's
good.
a lot of people said they're like, it's a little tedious and slow, and I see that it is, but I am enjoying it. And Kevin Williamson, the new movie that he wrote, which is sort of like being coined as the COVID slasher, Sick.
I had never heard of
So
that.
I started that. That one's only 80 minutes. I don't know why I didn't finish it, but it's good. It's on Hulu.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know why I didn't finish it.
Yeah, I don't know why. We were watching it. I was watching it with Cody, and something must have happened where we had to pause it, and then we just never pressed play again.
Never to be played again.
Never to be played again.
And that's it. I watched Terminator 2 for the first time in a while, but that's not horror.
I thought you meant the first time ever.
Oh,
yeah,
good Lord,
Zach
no.
and I were like, what?
Was it Tim the Toolman Taylor? Ooh.
Ooh.
And this isn't a movie, but you both know this already. But I played for the first time in a while Friday the 13th, the game. I know there's the whole lawsuit where they can't make any changes to the game anymore, which is why it hasn't been updated in years. But the game's fun. It's kind of a gamble if you're not playing with friends, like who you're gonna be conversing with.
Yeah.
But I lucked out in my last game, which was nice. So hopefully I can play with them again.
Yeah, because you have to work as a team.
Yeah.
I remember the last time I played with you a few years ago. Everyone was very young and very mean.
Yep.
And they made me feel bad about my lack of skills.
Hey, that's all they're good at, to be fair.
So the kids were like really mean
criticize.
and like the kids were so mean, like being like, "Who is this guy? Like, what is he doing? Like, who's doing this?" And then Danny's like, "Do you want to play another one?" And I was like, "I think I'm gonna go to bed."
No,
actually,
I'm tired.
I'm like fucking 32 years old. I'm like, yeah.
Just crying.
That convention that I'm going to, that horror convention that Art the Clown is going to be at.
Oh yeah.
CJ Graham will be there.
CJ Graham.
He plays Jason in Jason Lives.
Oh, that's exciting.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought that was Seymour Butts.
Shut the fuck up.
I thought you were talking about CJ Graham of the Graham Cracker Dynasty.
Oh, he'll be there too. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah, they'll be there together. You can have like a dual photo op. Yeah, Graham Crackers and
You said
Jason?
Graham Cracker Dynasty.
Dynasty. Which one, Honey Maid or?
I think he runs them all. I think he has copyright on the actual.
Oh yeah,
Graham
the
Cracker.
Graham Cracker.
Mm.
Okay,
And then it's sort of like an umbrella, and then it's sort of like
course.
But yeah, so going back to the lawsuit you were talking about, I think there is a Jason X level for the game, but it like never got finished and they can't put it in.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
They announced it and they showed like the map and everything, and I was so excited. And then they had to stop.
Oh, damn.
We'll never see it.
That sucks.
Man.
Because, being in space.
No one hears you scream.
That's
No one hears you
alien,
scream.
Danny.
What's scarier than that?
What's scarier than that?
Yeah, but they would steal it. It's the Friday franchise. They don't care. I'm also really sad that I don't know if it was ever going to be, if they would have ever done it, but we'll never get to play as Mrs. Voorhees in the game. Which would have been so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you would have loved that.
Yeah. Danny would have just been helping the campers.
Yep. Yeah.
As Mrs. Voorhees.
Yeah. Have you guys eaten? You guys hungry? I'm just in the kitchen the whole time, just like, because isn't she the cook? I'm just like making food the whole time.
That's
Zach,
funny.
did you get to watch anything?
No, just the baby being born. That's all.
God,
That's a
you
horror
couldn't
movie.
take a break from your baby just to watch a movie.
Jeez.
No, so I didn't watch anything else. But are you guys ready to talk about this movie?
Yeah, let's get in the snowcat, guys.
Yeah, getting the snowcat. You guys ready to go to the
Let's get
Overlook?
the snowcat. Let's fucking go.
Yeah. I mean, if you can drive a car, you can drive a snowcat. So
That's
we're
right.
fine.
That's not true.
That's
Jeremy
right.
Renner got run over
That's
by
what
his-
Ullman says.
Casey.
What? He's alive.
That's true.
He didn't die. Oops.
All right, let's meet the monster.
Oh, wow. Guys, we're here. The Overlook.
Oh,
Sorry, I'm just trying to bring some theater into this podcast.
I like you sold it to me because I like looked up. I was like, huh?
Oh, shit. What? We're here.
It's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. So are we all in agreement that Jack Torrance is the monster? Or is it kind
He
of
is, but he's also like kind of a vessel and
Yeah.
a stooge
Yeah.
sure?
to the powers that be in the Overlook.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, now we're like pulling hairs. Like
Yeah.
he's the villain.
Yeah, I mean he's like the face of it all in this
Yeah.
scenario.
Yeah. Also, you could argue that who he was before, the fact that he was abusive toward Danny
Yeah.
before he encountered the Overlook,
Right.
you could say that he was, and just his behavior in general.
Yeah. I wonder if that makes a person more susceptible to the evil within the.
I think that's kind of the idea.
Yeah.
Is that Jack really doesn't have anything to offer. He's so weak as a person.
Yeah.
And the hotel wants Danny's powers. So they're like, well, let's just take advantage of Jack.
Yeah.
Which is ironic because he kind of perceives and treats Wendy as the weak one.
Mm-hmm.
But really, she's the one who like runs the family. She literally does his job
Yeah.
as the caretaker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you watch it, like she's doing all of his stuff.
Yep. And he's
So-
just sitting there writing Danny.
Mm-hmm. Pain in the ass.
And yeah, like you said, he's so weak. He's so like when he sees that he can be in a position of power, he'll like do whatever. So when he's in the when she locks him in the fucking food pantry, and then Grady's on the other side being
Yeah.
like, well, we can't trust you, you know, whatever. And he's like, I'll do whatever you want, like blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
He just gives in. So because someone's
very
giving him an
weak.
opportunity
Yeah.
to be something bigger.
Jack Torrance is a bitch.
100%.
Jack's a bitch.
Yeah, because it's funny. Yeah, I guess it's obvious, but the way that they sort of trick him into kind of letting himself be taken over by the hotel is they're all just sort of like kissing his ass.
Mm-hmm.
they're like, oh yeah, your money's no good here. Oh, you're the best. Like it's like bottom of the barrel of like what someone needs to feel fulfilled in their life.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the one thing that works on him is to get his ass kicked, which just says so much about him as a character.
Yeah.
So yeah, to answer your question, before or after, he's the fucking monster.
And it's funny too, to see like, he's not, I guess it just goes back to like him being easily manipulated and everything, because like when he's talking to Grady in the bathroom and Grady's going on about like, your son's being a fucking douche and you need to do something about it. Mm-hmm. And he just has his like dumbfounded look on his face, like kind of just like a blank stare, not like a sinister stare, but like I have no idea what the fuck is going on kind of stare.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's kind of a fucking dummy.
He's a doofus.
He's just like a dumb sponge. He just kind of absorbs whatever they feed him.
Yeah.
Without question, without any restraint. And it's all self-serving. Because at the end of the day, even like he can give two shits about his family.
Yeah.
Right.
He has no respect for his wife. He has no care for his child's well-being. So he set the stage for himself. He made that bed. So he can freeze in it.
Speaking of when he hurt Danny, and maybe I just missed something, but I feel like there's like a timeline gap or something, because when Wendy is talking to the doctor at the beginning, when she comes to check on Danny after he like passed out, she's telling the story of when he grabbed Danny for messing up the papers in his office. And she said, after that day, Jack said like he'd never touch another drop of alcohol again. And he hasn't had a sip in 5 months, is what she said. Then later, when Jack is at the bar talking to the bartender, Lloyd, thank you. And he tells him the whole story. He's like, okay, I did hurt him once. And he's like, but that was 3 years ago. And I'm like,
Well,
what's going on here?
I don't think that we can take his word for it. I think,
or is it a continuity error, or did it happen 3 years ago, and he still told Wendy that he wouldn't drink, but then did, and then maybe officially hasn't had a drink for 5 months. So like he still drank within those 3 years, but it just so happens. So it is kind of like showing that he can't even commit to that, unless it was just a timeline issue in the story.
I was just thinking that he's blowing smoke because he's a shithead.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, exactly.
And
maybe it's just that simple. It's just, like it was so long ago.
This brings up a good point. And with that, it is time for the How I Met Your Monster conspiracy theory of the week.
Oh, it's so early.
Already? We haven't had these in weeks for like episodes. And now they're just like, they're like falling out of the sky. It's like the frogs in Magnolia. You can't dodge them. They're just causing traffic jams, and Julianne Moore's getting in a car accident.
So do you want to hear some conspiracy theories?
Yeah, Zach, hit it.
You're telling me that NASA is going to kill the president of the United States with an earthquake?
Not exactly the kind of thing a Secret Service agent can like just throw himself on top of.
The whole Vietnam War was fought over a bet. Howard Hughes lost to Aristotle Onassis.
This is the third issue this year. Conspiracy theory.
This movie is riddled with fan theories from over the years. Like there's so many things that people think this movie is really about. And so I kind of just wanted to talk about some of them. And one of them really plays into this whole 3 year, 5 year, or 5 month thing that I was just talking about.
Okay, I thought that you were literally making your own silly conspiracy theory of the week.
Oh,
All
no,
right,
this one's actually
chat.
These ones are actually going to be real conspiracy theories.
Okay.
Zach, I have to ask, are these from, or at least referenced in, the documentary Room 237?
Most likely. I have not seen that movie fully, but these are some that I found on the World Wide Web.
World Wide Web.
Okay.
But this one, it's the theory that the Overlook is actually hell, right?
Oh.
So Jack is trapped in hell there is one of the facts, or one of the thoughts behind supporting this, is that the layout of the hotel seems to be constantly changing. And some say that hell is like that too. But Jack attacking his family happened before this movie that we're watching. And he is there like repeating this same thing over and over. So like Wendy and Danny aren't actually in the film. It's just him, like his memory going off. Okay. So maybe somewhere in there, because it's like, you know, where he says, you've always been the caretaker. Or he says like, oh, I felt like I've been here before. Like I knew what was around every corner.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe there's a thing where it's like he thought it was.
He's not completely incorrect.
Yeah, like he doesn't know his own timeline because he's just been looping for like a long time.
That's fun.
Which I thought was kind of cool.
It is cool.
Yeah, I dig it.
There is a theory that this whole thing was a CIA experimentation.
Oh, good God.
Wait, I love this already.
And it all comes down to one poster on the wall of the games room when Danny first sees the Grady twins.
Yeah.
So there is a poster behind them on the wall that has a guy skiing, and it says the word monarch on it. So there, Mr. Ullman earlier said that this isn't a skiing thing. People, you can't ski up here. It's too snowy. Yeah, it wastes too much money keeping the roads open. And apparently Monarch is supposedly one of the many code names for the CIA's infamous MK Ultra experiments.
Yes, sir.
Interesting.
So some people think that everything in the Overlook, from the ghosts to everything to Jack going crazy, like all like a CIA experiment.
So where does the LSD fit in here?
Huh?
Where does the LSD fit in here? MK Ultra was the LSD thing that they did.
I don't.
Wait, I think I know. Okay, so if this, assuming this theory was correct, what would the CIA? What's their purpose? You know, like why have this whole elaborate haunted house? Basically,
haunted house.
Is it to basically use it to weaponize it and put it into like have it function as like a military attack where you drug your enemies and make them feel like they're losing their minds, and maybe they're just testing it on some like everyman and his family. Like if this guy can fucking believe his family needs to get murdered, we can make this guy believe that they need to kill each other.
It was used to weaken individuals and force confessions and stuff.
Okay, I sign off. I believe this theory,
but they could be trying to like harness the Shining power, and so they bring Danny there,
which feels more Stephen King.
Yeah,
where the government and scientists are trying to actually. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
there is a theory that the Shining is a Holocaust metaphor, specifically because of the number 42. Which is prevalent throughout the film. Danny's shirt, when he's in the bathroom brushing his teeth, has a 42 on it. Apparently, the guy says there's 42 cars in the parking lot.
Interesting.
The number appears on Dick Halloran's license plate. And even the number 237, 2 times 3 times 7 equals 42.
Oh, God.
Wendy and Danny watched the movie The Summer of 42, and Dick Halloran also mentions the number 42 million. And 1942 is the year that the Nazis launched their Final Solution campaign. Yep. And Jack's typewriter is a German typewriter. But then
who finds this stuff out? I'm so impressed by people right now. I wouldn't even think these things, you know, like.
But they also say that Kubrick was a big Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy fan.
Oh,
and the number
and
42
the meaning of life.
There. Yep.
Yeah.
That's fun.
This one I've heard before, that Stanley Kubrick faked the moon landing, right? And so he helped the government do this whole thing, and he couldn't talk about it. So by the time he came to film this movie, he felt guilty and he wanted to admit it, but he couldn't. So he put hints in the movie, right? So Danny wearing an Apollo 11 t-shirt, Tang being present in the pantry, which I guess Tang was a thing for that they would drink, the astronauts would drink.
Yeah.
And room 237 alluding to 237,000 miles between the Earth and the Moon. And the repeated pattern on the carpets of the Overlook are the exact octagonal structure of the Kennedy Space Center.
Anything is true if you look hard enough.
It's true.
If one of these is true, only one of them can be true. So the fact that there is so much evidence to support something that is false is just as fascinating as if it were supporting something that was absolutely true. So either way, I love all of this.
Yeah. But this one here, this is my favorite. And I'm going to end on this one.
Okay.
That Wendy imagined the whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
So let's see what it says here. She's actually the main character of the film, and the whole thing is told from her point of view.
I mean, I would argue that regardless, but
yeah. It says Jack was chosen as the caretaker of the Overlook, but he never does anything, like you mentioned earlier, Danny. And you see Wendy like checking the boilers and checking and cleaning and all this stuff and cooking. And then when Jack snaps at her when she interrupts him when he's writing, which is a great fucking scene, by the way, he kind of has this confused look on his face at the end. And it says that would imply that Wendy entered the room and had a one-way conversation and then left.
Yeah.
Right. Wendy is the one being affected by the ghosts, and maybe the ghosts aren't even there at all. It's just the isolation causing Wendy to go mad. And also maybe the trauma that she endured during Jack's drinking days finally all came to the surface.
Yeah.
So that one I think is really cool. And it says if you rewatch the movie with the intention of going into it knowing that or thinking that Wendy is going crazy instead of Jack, it makes for a unique viewing experience.
Yeah.
And so
do that.
I kind of want to watch it again and kind of go in that perspective. So that's it. There's some fun conspiracy theories for The Shining.
Very cool.
I feel like all these theorists just like work on the marketing team at Warner Brothers, and they're just trying to get people to rewatch The Shining. They're like, what do we got? What do we got? They don't want to watch trailers anymore. They know The Shining. They're like, let's just make up stories and theories.
Sometimes I think that I'm really perceptive until I hear stuff like that. And then I'm like, I don't fucking pay attention at all. Like, I feel really smart because I noticed this.
At hour like 1:20, I was like, oh, they're in a hotel.
Oh, shit.
I didn't know there were 42 cars in the parking lot.
Right. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, if that number is so apparent in that movie and I didn't notice it once.
Yeah, and if you have if you think that the 42 thing is like whatever, why would you how would it cross your mind to say like, oh, I should stop and count all the cars that are in the parking lot and see if there's 40. Like, I don't get it.
See, I want to be that person though. I do. I always think that I'm detail oriented and stuff. And I wish that I was like that.
I would argue that that's not even detail oriented. That's
obsessive.
A little obsessive, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is like nothing wrong with that, but
yeah. In the beginning of the movie, I would just like to say that before anything happens and we see Danny for the first time, that kid is terrifying. His eyes are dead.
Oh,
seriously, there's nothing in those. Like, he's got shark eyes.
Man,
you guys don't think so?
Eyes.
He's sitting at the table and he's
picture
just
of him now.
I mean, I always just view Danny as just the victim of abuse. So any gesture or expression is that.
Well, I know, but what I'm saying is that I don't think this is acting, because I don't think that you can act when you're 5 years old that you're dead behind your eyes. I think this child is just terrifying.
What I heard was that Stanley Kubrick wanted to make sure, or someone at least wanted to make sure, that the actor didn't feel like he was in a horror movie.
Oh, really?
So if that's the case, you do wonder what is his direction to have that sort of look in his eyes.
I feel like Stanley Kubrick is a horror to work for. How on earth would he not have made that kid feel like he was in a horror movie?
Right.
Freaking psychological torture.
I know.
Danny was played by Danny Lloyd, who his 3 credits are The Shining, some TV movie called Will, the autobiography of G. Gordon Liddy, and Dr. Sleep.
Yeah.
He was
just a random person.
He was a spectator. Yeah.
I would think that doing this movie in general when you're that young and also having Stanley Kubrick as your director, I don't think that he would ever want to be an actor.
Yeah. He's like, this is making a movie.
Like,
I'm out.
I don't remember. I don't remember exactly but when he meets Halloran and they're like talking in the kitchen, they did that take like such an absurd amount of times, like 60 something times, like something ridiculous. Really? Yeah.
I don't understand that.
I mean, do you guys know that Eyes Wide Shut was 400 days? Filming for Eyes Wide Shut was 400 days, consecutive days.
Crazy.
Bullshit.
No, it holds the Guinness Book of World Records for the longest consecutive film shoot.
I have heard a lot of actors talk about their experience.
Seriously, I looked this up because when I was watching the Lord of the Rings trilogy, so they filmed all of those at the same time. So I was like, oh, I wonder how long this took them. I bet that it was the longest film shoot ever. And it wasn't. It's like 370 something. And Eyes Wide Shut was number 1 with 400.
Oh my God.
There's an actor who quit Eyes Wide Shut. And I just read an interview recently. Harvey Keitel.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Stanley Kubrick fired him. And Keitel spoke pretty openly about, I don't want to say he was, because I don't want to misquote him because I don't have the quote with me right here, but he didn't appreciate his process and was happy to have left.
Yeah.
As far as I remember.
Yeah. Yeah, he was a tough
Because it
dude.
is. It's like, you want to romanticize that side of filmmaking and like the idea of the auteur. But then you start to, I don't know, maybe it's just because we're getting older, or I'll speak for myself, like I'm getting older, and I don't glorify that as much,
Me and Casey aren't aging at all.
Yeah, I'm still 22.
I'm just going to speak for myself.
No, of course. I mean, actors, celebrities in general, what a terrible fucking way to live. Can't even go to the grocery store. That's my favorite time to be alone. It's at the grocery store. Can't imagine not being able to do that anymore. And then Shelley Duvall, we know that she was treated terribly too.
Yeah.
During this movie. Yeah. And she's so good. She's so cute in this movie.
She's my favorite part of the movie.
Oh, me too, for sure.
So
great.
I guess they did that, the scene on the stairs with her in the baseball bat, 127 times.
Yeah,
they did it's like one of those
that's
crazy.
But so that so it's really weird because now I'm thinking about this is like a cult tactic, like you wear people down so that they're tired and that they don't care anymore. Like, you know what I mean? So it's almost like he was doing this to her so that she would get so fucking frustrated that it would come out in her performance. Unfortunately, although I do not necessarily agree with his methods, that is one of my favorite horror movie scenes ever.
It is. It's
good.
Oh, and that's the thing too.
But I do feel like you could have. That's kind of the job of a director and an actor, is to get a performance and to give a performance. And I do think that they probably could have gotten there, or close to there, or where you needed to be without the quote unquote abuse and repetition.
Yeah.
But
some of these famous directors and all the shit that they do to these actors to get these scenes that have become like iconic. And so it's weird. It's like, oh my God, this scene is amazing. But like, what did you have to do to get there? And who did you fucking traumatize to get there?
Yeah.
And, one story that comes to mind, and I forget who directed Last Tango in Paris with Marlon Brando. There's a scene where Brando like has sex with this lady with a stick of butter.
Oh yeah.
And the director and Brando apparently like had this plan to do this out of nowhere and didn't tell the actress so that they could get like her actual reaction.
Yeah, genuine reaction. Wow.
And it like traumatized her, and I think she like sued and all this stuff, and it just
Good for her.
she just
That's
like fucking
That's
ruined
terrible.
part of her life. You know what I mean? And
That's disgusting.
it's just shit like that. Like I don't.
And where does that come from? Is it just like they're not? It ruins the whole like idea of why it's so good to create art.
Yeah.
You know, they sort of like bring it to this other level. Like they sort of feel like they are above that. You know, it's they self glorify. Probably because people just keep telling them yes, and like they're living in like this like delusional lifestyle for years.
Yeah. So I guess the real monster is Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah.
Well, he is on my list.
Yeah.
And Zach, the director was Bernardo Bertolucci.
Okay.
Well, fuck you, Bernardo.
I saw that in a documentary somewhere, but I can't remember.
Yeah, I think that's probably where I saw it too.
Okay, so when we meet the monster for the first time, it's Jack, or do we decide is it Jack or the Overlook
You
itself?
decided that it's Jack. Actually, Danny, you did.
Well, actually, we see Jack and the Overlook for the first time at the same time.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Because he walks in
So they are one and the same.
The front door. Yeah, Jack
Yeah,
is
and
the Overlook. Ooh.
I can't imagine this being anybody else. Jack Nicholson is pretty terrifying.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And what's funny is people did not like his performance when it first came out.
Really?
Oh, really?
Yeah, The Shining was nominated for 2 Razzies back in the day. Shelley Duvall for Worst Supporting Actress and Stanley Kubrick for Worst Director.
What?
Whoa.
Yeah. But just last year, John Wilson, the awards creator, apparently voided Duvall's nomination.
Yeah.
But I don't see anything about Kubrick.
Well, he was a shithead. The movie's good, but he's a shithead.
Yeah, maybe they didn't give him credit. He lost.
He's also not alive anymore. So.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, Shelley Duvall is amazing. But yeah, Jack. We're talking about Jack and the monster, and in the hotel. Yeah, he always looks so annoyed. Like it makes me uncomfortable, but I like it.
Yeah.
You know what's funny about his character? His look has become so iconic, but a lot of his look isn't like. It's just kind of him.
Yeah.
You know, there's really nothing spectacular about his outfit or anything.
Yeah. I don't even know what he's wearing. I just see his face.
Exactly. It speaks to his performance a lot. Because even like Ash in The Evil Dead is sort of an everyman too, but he's still got the chainsaw and he's got like the gash on his face and the hair and.
But he's probably wearing his S-Mart shirt, like. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the book goes into a lot more of Jack's alcoholism.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a much bigger piece of the story.
Pretty much the through line through the whole book. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like beginning to end, like his whole arc is sort of runs on his addiction and like how he deals with it.
Right.
Can I spoil the end of the book? Do we know the end of the book?
I know the end of it. Well, and he read it. So.
Yeah, Casey, I do read books, by the way.
But
yeah.
Because I think everyone knows at this point that Stephen King famously is not a fan of this movie, this adaptation.
Yeah.
And it's because now, I mean, first of all, he could just be irritated by the fact that he had written the script adaptation for it, and then Stanley Kubrick basically threw it out and was like, "No, I don't like it. I'm going to do mine."
I mean,
so I could see why he would be annoyed.
Well, yeah. Stanley Kubrick said, "Can I do whatever I want?" And Stephen King said yes, and he didn't like what he did. So whose fault is it? You know what I mean?
Well, Stephen King had pretty good experiences up to that point.
Yeah,
with most of his adaptations,
trusted the process, and he shouldn't have.
Exactly, and then you have someone like Stanley Kubrick who makes these iconic movies. So it's like, sure, Yeah, but he should have asked more questions.
Yes.
Because one of the big elements that he removed was the fact that in the book, Jack, he basically has a moment of he's redeemed in the end. He is able to overpower the powers of the Overlook and saves Danny. And then instead of freezing to death, trying to kill his son, he burns and blows up because he
blows up the Overlook to end the cycle. And
yeah, he blows up the Overlook. He doesn't blow up himself.
no, he somehow survives, but the Overlook blows up. He blew up, metaphorically speaking. Like, he was really popular.
He blew up and became a star.
Bigger than Jesus.
Yeah.
Did you say bigger than Jesus?
Yeah. Like the Beatles. We're gonna be bigger than Jesus. That's my Paul McCartney.
And then who was the band who said that they were bigger than the Beatles? Oasis? No, Oasis. They said that they were bigger than the Beatles, which would imply that they thought they were bigger than Jesus too.
Oh my God.
That's why they were a one-hit wonder.
Oh, one-hit wonder wall.
Wonderwall. All right.
Okay, so we are in the belly of the beast. We are in the Overlook Hotel, which was inspired by a real hotel.
Yeah.
The Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, Colorado.
Yeah.
Where of course it would be the Stanley Hotel.
I keep saying Stanley. I know. How fitting.
What a jerk.
So the basic idea of The Shining is, aside from Jack uprooting his family for the winter season to be the caretaker of the Overlook Hotel, what he doesn't realize is that the Overlook Hotel is kind of like has summoned them there because they want to absorb the power of Danny Torrance, Jack and Wendy's son, who has an ability, which is referenced by Dick Hallorann, The Shining. It's shining, it's a psychic ability. So Danny's actually very powerful. And these supernatural forces in the hotel are trying to take advantage of it and feed off of it. But they're using Jack as a vessel. They want to possess him, basically, take advantage of the fact that he's a very weak person, as we established, and kill his son so that the powers that be of the Overlook Hotel can absorb him and basically make his supernatural psychic powers part of their whole, supernatural economy and keep themselves alive.
Supernatural economy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, what the fuck is the point? What are they going to do? Mm-hmm. They're like, oh, we got him. We got all the power. They're in a secluded area in the fucking wilderness.
Well, that's the thing. It's that's kind of the horror aspect of it, is there really is no grand purpose.
Yeah.
They're just like a monster.
They're
living
just going to be assholes to be assholes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They just want to live. Their whole purpose is to just survive. They're just parasites.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what makes it more disturbing. There's no grand scheme. They're not trying to pursue something grander than themselves.
Granda.
It's just to eat.
Yeah.
I wonder if the ghosts ever make themselves known during the
peak season.
Peak season. Yeah.
Yeah. What's
that's when they hibernate.
Giggling?
I'm just picturing them if they did make themselves known, what is their purpose? But if they didn't, what are they doing? I'm just trying to imagine what their lives are like when they're not on the clock.
Okay. How does Grady open the door to the pantry?
I think just being a ghost.
Yeah.
I think that's the moment in the movie where it's if you had any doubt if there is a supernatural force, it's there it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the Overlook Hotel is actually going to physically intervene.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the book has more, the hotel has more of a physical presence and threat.
Yeah.
In that it can attack you
the
topiary of the lions comes and actually attacks Danny the fire hose slithers out like a snake and tries to attack Danny.
Yeah.
Which, fun fact, in the book, which obviously isn't the movie, but the whole idea of a fire hose coming to life and attacking you is part of what inspired The Shining. Because after sleeping at the Stanley Hotel in room 217, which was changed to 237 in the movie, Stephen King had a dream that a fire hose was attacking his son, which then prompted, I guess, an idea of like a haunted hotel.
Yeah,
Man.
I think that I understand, like, I think that if stuff like that was put into the movie in 1980, it probably would have turned out very hokey. And not...
Well, they did the TV version, the Mick Garris directed one.
Right.
And they were a little more faithful, but it's kind of not fair because it was a TV budget.
Yeah.
So it's like...
Real shitty.
Even the time, the period, the era, plus the lack of budget. It's like,
Hey, I remember the Langoliers.
Unfortunate.
Okay.
The Langoliers. Dude, speaking of Danny Torrance and him having dead eyes and whatever, I don't buy that, but whatever.
You'll allow it.
The kid, I'll allow it. The kid in the TV version, I want to fucking smack the shit out of him.
I've never seen the TV version of this.
why did I know you were going to say that?
He is so fucking annoying. Oh my God. He's the worst part of that fucking movie. Anyways.
I haven't seen it in so long. I'm having like a flashback. It's like he's got like the... Can't do his face. It's like not resting bitch face. It's like resting, I don't know, just like punchability face.
It's like the way he fucking talks. Like,
We're just like shitting on this young kid. Just this stupid idiot.
He's John Torrance in this one.
isn't
really?
Jack short for John? Like Jack
I
is
mean, it's not short for anything because it's the same amount of letters, but I didn't say that to be a bitch. I sounded like such a bitch. But
you know what I
don't-
mean? Like, don't people
Yes.
like name John or sometimes called Jack?
Yes, that's why he says here's Johnny, but I don't understand why the two are interchangeable. Like, no, I named you John. No, I named you Jack. What? I don't understand that.
See, I thought he said here's Johnny because he was doing like the Johnny Carson kind of thing.
Oh, well, maybe he was, but it also was true because his name is John Jack. Jack John.
John Jack.
He's pulling from both, you know. There's two wells. He's drawing water from both wells.
But we didn't really talk about the ghost still. Specific
Oh,
ghosts.
the
Yeah,
ghosts. That's right. That's what
Yeah,
we were
it's a
talking
ghost.
about.
Because like 20
topic of
minutes
our
ago.
show.
Yeah.
Oh, the monsters. Meeting them. That's right.
Yeah. The ghosts in this movie, you know, like the Grady twins,
Mm-hmm.
which they're not actually twins. So that's interesting.
Well,
That's
are the actresses aren't twins?
Well, I don't know, but
Because-
they're called the Grady twins, but he says they're 8 and 10.
Right.
Yeah.
And so
But
they
what
don't
was so
look
called?
2 years apart.
Or is that just another way for the movie to disorient us?
Oh, maybe. Maybe there's a lot more of that going on than we think.
Well, it's funny that you said 8 and 10, and then we were just talking earlier about, you know, the difference between him not drinking for 5 months or
Right.
3 years.
Right.
So it's like this idea of like time doesn't really
Yeah.
make sense in the Overlook.
Mm.
You know, like nothing really, because everyone's living, you know, in the same time. You know, if
Yeah.
you think about it, like the party's still happening, but it happened. You know, Jack just got here, but they said he's always been here. It's like time doesn't apply, you know, our rules to it, or the hotel doesn't apply our rules of time to it.
Right.
I thought that it was more of like a not necessarily a reincarnation, but it's like the same kind of thing is happening over and over again with the caretakers, and they all just kind of like blend into the same person because they all just go crazy.
I like that. Like he isn't Jack. It's not Jack saying he's been the caretaker. It's who
Right.
he's embodying. I like
Right.
that. That makes sense.
That's kind of what I thought.
Okay.
Because I guess, yeah, at the end of the day, that's like what we were saying is like that's the whole purpose of the Overlook is to treat Jack as a vessel.
Right.
So if he's a vessel and he's saying, I've always been here,
Right.
It's the vessel saying he's always been here.
Yes,
Not
yes,
Jack
yes,
necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if the Overlook opened the next season.
That is so funny. I was just thinking that for the first time watching this movie, I wondered what happened after the fact. Because Wendy and Danny come out of it and they're like, another caretaker tried to kill his family.
I'm sure that they keep opening because places like that, they're just greedy assholes. They just want people's money. No one's going to give a fuck that any of that happened. They're still going to make just as much money.
Do they not mention in Dr. Sleep?
So that's funny you just asked that because I was just thinking, because of course they don't answer in the book because it burns down.
Right.
Have you both seen Dr. Sleep?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I don't remember. I remember like in the end, because Danny goes back to the Overlook. Wasn't it abandoned? Like it was boarded up? Was it shut down because of like seedy stuff that was happening there?
I don't know. But in the book,
now I want to watch.
Dick Halloran doesn't die.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And he takes like Danny and they go
They
somewhere,
shine
right?
together.
They go to Florida.
Florida, yeah. To be in his weird little room with his naked lady
that's weird.
pictures.
Dick's living the dream.
I'm just going to take
He's
this
like,
little kid
spends
to
his
Florida.
summers. Yeah, he spends his summers working at this like really nice hotel where they're like, it's not like there's sports or anything. Like no one's, they're just, people are just there, just having a good time. And then he spends his winters in Florida with his naked pictures.
Yep. Which
living the dream.
That's one of those deaths in a movie that it hurts. You know, I feel so bad when he fucking gets killed because it's like,
but I mean,
he's just like so fucking sweet.
I would give this movie 5 stars if it wasn't for the fact that Dick doesn't make it out.
Are you serious?
Breaks my heart.
Oh.
It's the fact that he doesn't die in the book and he's such like a important character and he's so selfless just for him to be like hacked off.
Yeah.
It does sort of like play into like the idea of like hopelessness though, which makes Kubrick especially just seem like his prints on this just seem more evident, where it's sort of just like everything's sort of meaningless at the end of the day, no matter how grand, you know, like in 2001, it's like everything's so grand, but it's like, we're just asking questions for nothing because you're never going to get, even if you did get answers, it wouldn't matter. And like in this case, it's like Dick goes on this whole journey to save them. And in a way, he does kind of like slow Jack down, I guess, which is kind of like a dark way of looking at it. But it's also cynical, you know, his journey. It's so pointless.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I would like to say that we said that we were going to talk about the ghosts and then we didn't talk about the ghosts.
Okay, let's just talk about the ghosts right now.
Well, we've talked about Grady.
In order.
Okay, yeah. So, in order. So the first ghosts we see are the twins, right? Mm-hmm. And they are the daughters of Grady, Delbert Grady?
Delbert.
Oh, yeah.
Delbert Grady.
Mr. Delbert.
Who was the caretaker prior?
In 1970, yeah.
In 1970. But then here he is as like a butler.
Well, you know,
a
he was like a server or waiter, but that would go along with the time and the weird thing that's going on where they just try to fucking confuse you.
Yeah, and also to Casey's point from earlier about how like he's no longer him anymore. Yeah. Like it's not him. He's just sort of playing whatever role he has to play.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So if like Grady was like a pivotal figure that maybe Jack would recognize, he's just has to be playing that role as the waiter who spills the drink.
Mm-hmm.
Bastard.
And then we have room 237 and the case of mistaken identity.
Yes. The most classic case of it. And unfortunate. That's the one scene in this movie that I look away. It bothers me so much.
Oh, I love it.
It like genuinely freaks me out. Something about her body, like it's not the fact that she goes from like young to old. It's not that.
Yeah, body shame.
No, it's not that. It's
are you, ageist?
It's how she's wet and decaying.
Yeah.
It's the wetness that gets me. But that ghost, if we just want to elaborate quickly, in the book, she's more prominent, and her name is Lorraine Macy or Massey.
Okay.
And she was very sexual being. She was married, but she was there with a younger guy, and she had a lot of money, and she would seduce the bellboys and have sex with them. But she had her own sort of issues with her mental health, and when she felt like she was sort of ignored, she ended up killing herself, and that's why she haunts room 237. And because she was such a tragic person in real life, it's that like tenfold as a ghost, and she's now like one of the core villains, quote unquote, of the Overlook.
I love that bathroom.
Which was inspired, we all know, as we pointed out in the last episode, by the Sharp family's designer.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Crimson Peak, Allerdale.
Crimson Peak, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then we have what I call the party favors at the end, where we get all like you get the blowjob people with the bear suit and the ghosts. And, you get that guy who I don't know who he is. I don't think it's Grady. It's somebody else who's got like he's like standing there in the hallway with a drink, and he's got like blood running down his thing, and he says, "Great party."
Yeah. Great party, isn't it?
And then we get all the skeletons in the main hall with like all the cobwebs and stuff. I always forget that scene is in the movie. And so like it's coming up, and I'm like, as soon as like she runs down the hall and I see like the blue kind of lighting, I'm like, oh shit, I forgot about this part. And then it's all cobwebbed and fucking.
It's like, yeah, Wendy, you've been in a haunted house this whole time.
So is that all the ghosts that we encounter?
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm trying to. I guess Lloyd, but he isn't really.
Oh. Yeah.
He's not really a ghost. He's more just like a presence.
Well, then I guess if you're going that way, you have the whole ballroom that's filled with people later on. Okay. Well, do you guys want to talk about our favorite reveals?
Yeah.
So I've got a few here. I've got the score itself is a reveal.
Love that.
Jack walking into the hotel, because that could be the hotel reveal or Jack. Yeah. The twins, the first time Danny sees them in the game room. The first time we really see Jack, like what he's kind of like under all this nice guy facade, is when Wendy comes in to talk to him while he's writing, and he kind of flips out on her.
He's an asshole.
You could take that one step farther, I would say, and the Kubrick stare when he's looking out the fucking window and he's just like dead inside, right?
I like that.
The woman in the bathtub, Grady in the spilling some fucking apricot juice or what the fuck it was on him.
Yeah, I looked it up. It's called an advocat. It's a weird like creamy drink.
Ew.
I don't know why they went with that one, but I guess it stains. Yeah.
Kind of a reveal to Wendy that Jack has gone fucking off the deep end is when she sees what he's been writing.
Oh, yeah.
All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy.
Can you imagine finding that after all that time? Like, what do you do with that information?
Dude. And I forgot like, how long it goes on. And she's like, she flips so many papers and this.
Whole thing.
That's why when he's chasing her up she's swinging the bat at him, and she's just like, I'm very confused right now. You can just see it in her head where like she just can't even process it. Her brain is just broken right now. It's like, what's happening? Not only is like my husband turning on me and like wants to attack me, but like there's just something beyond like my comprehension that's freaking me out.
Right.
Fucked up.
And then I have Dick Halloran's death, basically, because for a split second, Jack is revealed to him as a monster, and I don't even think Dick would have time to process until he fucking.
Yeah, but that was since he didn't kill Wendy or Danny. That was he became a different kind of monster altogether.
That's true.
So those are kind of the reveals that I noticed. What are your thoughts?
Well, as I've said about both of these parts, they're my favorite. The woman in the bathtub is one of my favorite parts of this movie. So that one. And then the when she discovers what he's writing, because, you know, like you said, that's kind of when she realizes that that's what he's been sitting in there, quote unquote, working on this whole time. And she obviously realizes that something's very wrong. And then that is the lead up to the stairs and the baseball bat. And that's one of my favorite horror movie moments ever. So,
yeah, nice.
Danny? My favorite reveal was when Jack talks to Grady in the bathroom.
Oh,
because he's revealing the fact that like that's when like Jack sort of kind of directly accepts his role, you know, like as like what the caretaker really means, but also just like the location of it. It's like they're in like a different place entirely.
Yep.
The bathroom doesn't even match where they've been this whole time. So like you're not even like in this reality. You could be anywhere. It's like a different world. And I love how they lean into that so much, where it's the whole movie is disorienting, but that one especially is like, I don't know, just it like messes with your head. Even if you're not paying attention, like subconsciously, you're like, wait a minute, where are we? Like,
yep.
Can we just walk in the bathroom?
Yeah.
So I love that scene. And just the whole conversation, the way it plays out, and how Grady reveals himself. And how
he's
Jack
so creepy.
Wait a minute, are you dead? And like it's like there's just so much. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was your favorite?
My favorite is probably Wendy discovering the papers, because it's you know, kind of like you said, Danny, where she's like she's like so confused right now. You're just kind of, as a viewer, you're kind of just processing it too, like holy shit.
Because there's nothing like overtly sinister about it, which is almost what makes it worse. Which kind of brings us back to what we were talking about earlier. Like, why is the Overlook doing this? It's like, it's just eating. Like, there's really nothing. It's not this grand thing. And like here, it's like, it's not like I'm going to kill my family, which I can understand that. Like that is I can process that. I can't process what I'm reading and the repetition of it.
Right.
You know what I was just thinking? The whole point of the movie, like the monster loses in the end because they're trying to get Danny. They don't give a shit about Jack. They're trying to get Danny.
Right.
So that's like a Thanksgiving dinner for them, basically. And I was just thinking how awkward it must be for Jack in the end, when like he's the only one stuck who's like stays behind. Like Wendy and Danny leave. Like are all the other ghosts just kind of like staring at him like, cool.
Like,
you didn't get him. We're still hungry.
He's like, he goes up to the other ghosts like, hey guys, I'm here. Like, hey, what are we doing? What are we getting into? And they're like, who brought this guy? Like, oh fuck.
They're like, oh, nothing. We're actually all going to bed. Like, wait, you didn't say we're going to bed. Shh. Let's just meet me in my room.
Get rid of him.
Jack's like, I can hear you.
I'm right here.
We have a hive mind.
Well, now it's time for a segment that we like to call The Real Monster.
Run, as fast as you can. You can't catch me. I'm the gingerbread man.
You're a monster.
I'm not the monster here. You are. You and the rest of that fairy tale trash poisoning my perfect world. Now tell me, where are the others?
Eat me.
I have one. And it's funny that you guys brought up the bathroom in the last part, because the bathroom is my real monster. And I do understand, and I, you know, while watching it, I understood what the point of it was, to be in a different place and all that stuff. But I hate it because it's nothing like the rest of that beautiful place. And it's so square and angular and cold. And I don't like it.
Okay.
I just had, we already talked about Kubrick, and I don't want to defame his memory based on hearsay, but the hearsay that I heard was from The Horse's Mouth. And The Horse's Mouth was Shelley Duvall. And if he was,
are you saying that because of her teeth?
No, it's an expression.
I'm sorry. She's wonderful.
Okay.
I love her.
I
couldn't pass that up.
I did not say nor imply that. No, but with that being the case, I don't think anyone should be abusive like that and take advantage of their position, in power. But the real monster is Bill Watson, the guy who I don't know, what does he do? He's like the assistant of the hotel owner or manager.
Oh,
and he's just sort of always there, but he's always being kind of a dickhead.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, I'm like, he's got to mean something, but I don't know what he means.
Oh, weird.
He doesn't need to be in there.
Yeah, they go into like a tight shot on him or something, like a reaction shot. And you're like, oh, this guy must be something going on, and like nothing.
Yeah. Or when Ullman's like,
can
you give, and he's like, can you give him a tour? And we like spend enough time for him to be, he just like looks at Ullman and he goes, fine, like mad and walks away. Like there's something there. Like clearly he's doing that for a reason. And I don't understand why. So,
maybe he's a ghost.
Maybe Ullman's a ghost.
Ooh.
Are we confident that the Overlook Hotel was even... Oh, my
open?
God. Can you imagine if the agreement... All right, okay. So Jack goes and interviews for the job. But what if by the time he goes into interview, they had already given him the keys and everything, like in Denver? So like when he goes to the Overlook, we're actually just seeing it through his perspective and there actually isn't anyone there, but he's just like meeting all the ghosts. I don't know. But then I guess there's Dick, and Dick would have flagged that.
Oh, that's true.
All right, my conspiracy theory of the week is
debunked.
It isn't one. Yeah.
Debunked.
I've got a few. I've got the United States and the treatment of Native Americans because it's not mentioned in the book, but in the movie they kind of make it a thing that this was built on a burial ground, right?
Just like Poltergeist.
And then, right. And then even during the construction of the hotel, like the workers were like attacked by Native Americans. And then they even went as far as to like, they even incorporated like Native artwork into the walls and the windows and stuff. And it's like, that's so gross.
Way to rub it in.
It's like a middle finger.
So fuck the United States.
Fuck them.
Yeah.
I've got Mr. Ullman himself for finishing the tour with Jack as he sends Wendy to the kitchen with Dick.
Yep.
He's like, I got more to do here. Go take Wendy to the kitchen and show her where to cook.
Where she belongs.
I thought you were going to say Ullman because of that leather jacket he's wearing.
It is now. That's the reason now.
Usually, like, I don't know, they say, costume sort of tells you a lot about a character. And I was like, I'm not going to lie. I don't know. I understand him less now because he's leaving the hotel in that outfit.
I did have Stanley Kubrick and directors who put their actors through fucking trauma to get a performance. But I think my number one real monster for The Shining.
Here it comes.
Is people who have like fucking weird things that they're serious about. Like Jack at the thing when he's like, he like gives him his money and he's like, oh, your money's no good here. It's on the house, whatever. And Jack's like, I'm the kind of guy who likes to know who's buying his drinks, Lloyd. Like, who fucking cares?
So you don't like kind of guys. Anyone who's a kind of guy is a monster.
I'm the kind of guy. But yeah, it's like, just fuck off. Like, you don't need to do this whole thing where you're like, I'm the kind of guy who does this, or I'm the kind of guy who.
It's such a charade. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not real. It's just, you're trying to fucking be whatever. So that's my real monster for The Shining.
That's a good one.
So that's it. I mean, do you guys have anything else to add about The Shining?
I will ask, what do you guys prefer? Do you like the idea of the story ending where the hotel survives and Jack just kind of exists as part of it? Or do you like the ending in which he redeems himself and burns the Shining? Why do you keep calling it The Shining? The Overlook down.
Well, Danny, what do you think?
I see the good.
I like the ending where the Overlook wins.
Yeah. It makes it more ominous.
Well,
I mean, obviously.
style.
But I do love a redemptive arc, but I do have to say I like the idea. Sometimes, good, like in the book, good wins sort of like on all fronts. Jack redeems himself, Wendy, Dick, and Danny escape. Whereas in the movie, it's a little more bittersweet where like Dick dies, Wendy and Danny still escape, but Jack is consumed by the hotel and or his addiction. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I like the movie. Yeah.
The movie? I'm going to say the movie too. I don't really care when there's like a story that's kind of like low key and then like some massive explosion. No, it's not even that. Yeah. It's not even that. It's I'm like picturing the visual of like being in the snow and everything and then like a big explosion. It's just kind of like the movie is smaller than that. Even though it's like an epic,
it's not an action
epic movie.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. So that's kind of my thought process.
Which is funny because I feel like it fits in Dr. Sleep. And I had never read Dr. Sleep. But since the hotel is already doesn't there anymore. So like clearly that's not how it ends. And yet it works well for that story. Mm-hmm. I totally agree with you. I think that's a good point.
Somewhere I read that Mike Flanagan, who made Dr. Sleep, had to convince Stephen King to be like, we have to go back to the Overlook because even though you don't like this version of The Shining, Kubrick's version of The Shining is like what everybody knows.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so like, we have to incorporate that into Dr. Sleep or it's not going to work like the way it should. And I guess Stephen King was like, okay, fine. I can do it.
It would be too confusing.
Yeah.
Because like obviously if you didn't read the book, you only know the movie. But if you read the book, you also know the movie. So it's kind of win-win.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess that's it then. I don't have anything else to add about The Shining.
Let's close for the season.
Close for the season.
Let's ignore
Jack's
the fact
frozen.
that another caretaker tried to kill someone and we'll reopen next year.
Mm-hmm. And do it all again.
Find someone new. Yeah.
That's right.
Who were the caretakers in between who were like, they just had a good time, like nothing happened?
Yeah.
The ghosts were just like, we're full. Actually, that 1970 Grady family like really satisfied us for a while.
They're like every 10 years, kind of like Pennywise is every 27. It's like every 10 years.
It probably has to be a certain kind of person too.
That's true. Mm-hmm. You know what's interesting? I was thinking about this earlier, how we never see, at least in the movie, I can't remember in the book, we never see Mrs. Grady.
Yeah.
But we do see Grady and the twins. Mm-hmm. And what if Mrs. Grady was the one who shined and like she was just fully consumed? Yeah. And that's why we don't actually see any remnants of her.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
Something to chew on. I like it a lot.
All right. Well, that is number 2 out of 3 ghost stories that we are covering on How I Met Your Monster. Are you guys ready to hear what our next and final ghost story is going to be?
I feel like Christmas morning. I'm so excited.
Guys, we're doing Stir of Echoes.
Yes!
Oh my God. That's such a good choice.
So long.
Yes. I know we talked about doing it before and it kind of is just perfect for this trilogy.
Great choice.
So we're going to cover Stir of Echoes, starring Kevin Bacon. God, that's a good fucking movie.
I haven't seen it.
I hope it's still good.
Years.
Me either. That's why I'm like, I hope it holds up.
So yeah, listeners, make sure you tune in for that because you'll be sorry if you don't. I mean, I don't know.
Stir the pot.
We're going to stir the pot
AKA
filled
echoes.
with echoes. But
ooh, we're going to have echo soup.
Do you guys remember Ecto Cooler?
Yes.
Like the Slimer drink?
What if this was Stir of Ectos? And it was like the same story, but like he just sees Slimer. And instead of painted black, it's painted green.
Danny, you are on fire right now.
Am I though? It's just talking nonstop on fire.
So where can our listeners find you guys on social media?
I'm on Instagram at WolfMotherCasey.
And I'm on Instagram and Twitter at Danny Salem. Just my name, Salem, Salemme. That's 2 M's, like the candy. Melt in your butt, not in your hands.
Wonderful.
Sorry again for that.
And you can find me at Zach Winsick. Thank you all for listening. Now go meet some monsters.